This morning in our gospel, Jesus is helping us to understand a little bit our relationship to God. He's helping us to understand our relationship to God. He's unpacking it. And he's telling us that we should ask God for things. We should seek things from him. And we should knock on the door of his heart. He's saying, I want you to ask my Father for things, right? And he uses this example. He uses the relationship between like a parent and a child, a father and a child. And this is what he says, right? He's going into it. I want to make sure we didn't miss it. He says, all right, so he's saying, which one of you would hand his son a stone when he asked for a loaf of bread, or a snake when he asked for a fish? Okay, this is kind of a crazy and ridiculous example. I want you to imagine this, okay? I want you to imagine you go home after school today, okay, and you're hungry and you want a snack, and you go up to your mom, you're like, hey mom, I'm super hungry, do we have any bread? And she's like, no, but here's a rock. You're like, I'm not going to eat a rock, right? Or imagine this. Imagine it's like a Friday during Lent, and you're like, hey, Dad, do we have any fish? I'm so hungry. Your dad's like, no, but how about this snake? And you're like, ah, right? That's ridiculous, right? He's saying, like, no parent would do that. Your parents would never do that. Your parents give you good things, right? Like, that's just the point. Like, Jesus is trying to say, like, no parent does that. He's saying, if us human beings, he's saying, if you human beings know how to give good things to your children when they ask you for things, you who are fallen and sinful and don't understand things all the time, he's saying, if you little puny humans know how to do this, like how much more so do you think God the Father in heaven, who is perfect, who loves perfectly, how much more so do you think he knows how to give good gifts to his children? This is the point that Jesus is saying. Like, God the Father, he wants to give us good gifts. He knows what we want. He knows how to give us good things. But here's the thing. I bet I'm not the only one in church today who's ever prayed for something, asked God for something, and not gotten it. I bet I'm not the only one who's ever asked God for something, prayed for something. Lord, please, I really need to do really good on this test. Help me do really good on this test. And then you don't do good on the test, right? Or God, please, I really, like, I don't want to get sick before this vacation. I don't want to get sick before this sleepover. I don't want to get sick before this birthday party. And guess what? You get sick, blah, right? You're like, God, why? Ah! I bet I'm not the only one. Am I the only one? Has anyone else had this happen to them? You pray for something, you ask God for something, and then it seems like God gives you the opposite of what you prayed for, or it seems like he doesn't hear your prayer. Okay, hands down. It seems like he's giving you the very opposite of what you asked for. You're like, God, what? Like, I asked for bread, and you gave me a rock. I asked for a fish, and you're giving me a snake. What is going on? I thought you were good. I thought you loved me. I thought you cared about me. I thought you knew what I needed, right? Here's what we have to understand. The problem is perspective. Everyone say perspective. Perspective. The problem is perspective. Perspective means like a point of view, okay? The problem is we don't have the right perspective. I want you to imagine this. I want you to imagine that like this right here is like a television, like a big TV right here, okay? Big TV. I want you to imagine that I'm turn on TV, and I go up to the TV, I'm watching the TV like this. Can you see? Okay. Do you think that I'm going to be able to see what's going on? Yes or no? No. I'm like this close to it, right? If you're this close to the thing, you're not going to be able to see, you don't have the right perspective to see everything else that's going on around it. This is how it is with us and God. We don't have the right perspective. We can't see the future. I don't know what's coming up for me. I don't know what's in my future. I don't know the plans that the Lord has for me. I just have my little, limited, tiny, puny human perspective. All I can see is right here, right in front of me. And so this is what this means. Like, I can tell you honestly, there's been times in my life where I have prayed for something. I've begged God for something. God, please let this happen. Please give this to me. I really want this to happen. And he doesn't give it to me. It doesn't happen. And I've gotten really mad at God. Like, I can't believe you wouldn't let that happen. I can't believe you wouldn't give that to me. God, how are you so cruel? And then, as time goes on, as one thing happens and the next thing happens, and those things that happened wouldn't have happened if God gave me what I asked for, like, I can say honestly, like, God, thank you for not giving me what I asked for. Thank you for not giving me what I asked for. Because what you actually were doing in my life actually brought me to something even more incredible than I could have ever imagined. Right? Some of God's best answers to our prayers is when he says no. Is when he says no. Like, because here's what happens. So many times we think we're asking God for a loaf of bread, but what we don't realize, because we don't know our future, what we're actually asking for is a rock. And he's saying, no, trust me, you don't want that. That's not going to bless you. That's not actually what you're looking for. That's not actually going to be the thing that's going to make your life awesome. Trust me right now, when I say no to this, I've got something better planned for you. So here's the question. So what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to just not ask God for anything? No, not at all. Jesus says, ask, seek, knock. That's what Jesus is saying. I want you to come to God the Father like little children with big open hearts, like asking him for big things. You can ask God for big things. He loves it when you ask him for big things, because that means he knows this is my child who's trusting me, who wants me to give him good things. But here's the invitation. We always are invited to trust. To trust. That's the biggest thing. Right there, under the image of divine mercy. You walk by it every time you come into church. Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you. What does that mean? It means that, I trust, God, that whatever you're doing in my life is for my good. I trust that the prayers you say no to, the things that you don't give me, I trust that that's for my good. I trust that the things you say yes to for me, I trust that that's for my good. I trust you. I trust that you want me to have a life that's filled to the brim. I trust you. So Jesus is telling us, ask. It's okay. Ask, and ask for big things. But at the end of the day, trust. Sometimes we want bread, and what we don't realize is we're asking for a rock. Sometimes we think we're asking for a fish, but it's actually a snake. And we don't want snakes. I don't want a snake. God, just give me bread, give me fish. Give me the good things that you want to give me. So I want you to repeat after me. Jesus, I trust in you. One more time, a little bit louder. Jesus, I trust in you. One last time. Jesus, I trust in you. Amen.